Hello there, dear friends, and welcome once again to the Relaxed Fantasy Review. Today, we're going to be having a look at spellcasting. Specifically, we're going to be having a look at the newest class that was introduced in Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. Well, it was introduced in Eberron, but it was expanded upon in Tasha's and made a little more accessible. The Artificer, the magical item creator, the enchanter. They are a very interesting spellcaster. They are half-casters, but they also get cantrips, so that means that they are viable when it comes to spellcasting, and they have a very weird spell list to choose from. A lot of interesting spells, a mixture of battlefield control, attacking, healing. There's a lot going on here. And knowing exactly how to build your Artificer largely depends on your subclass, but I've made a list of the top 5 second level spells that I would recommend all Artificers at least take a look at, because these spells will be difference makers pretty much no matter what you're playing. Starting off at my 5th suggestion, it is Lesser Restoration. Like I said, Artificers can be healers. Lesser Restoration, real simple. You can cure disease with this thing, or you can cure blindness, deafness, you can cure poison, or paralysis. It's just a good healing spell to have in your back pocket, and no matter who you're up against, having the ability to not be blinded, not be diseased, not be poisoned, it's all good stuff. And, as a backup to your main healer, if you have one, and if you don't have a main healer, why not take it to support the party? It's just a good pick. Moving along with this trend, my 4th suggestion is Aid. Aid is a concentration-free spell that lasts for 8 hours. You cast it on a couple party members, and they get 5 temporary hit points, except they don't, because these aren't temporary hit points. Their actual legitimate hit point maximum is increased by 5. And then you can stack temporary hit points on top of that, and even heal up to the new maximum, as long as Aid is in effect. This is a great buff that you can apply to the whole party, and in general, Aid is one of those spells that clerics are considered must-takes, and the Artificer can just grab it. And I highly recommend any Artificer who wants to be a support character, grab Aid. Now, the 3rd spell on my list, number 3, is Web. I suggest Web as one of the greatest battlefield control spells out there. You cast Web over a 20-foot space on the battlefield. It can go between 2 objects suspended in midair, or it can have a 5-foot thick ground presence. Creatures that move through the web have to make a dexterity save, or they get stuck to the web. What's cool about Web is that once you're stuck, it's no longer a dex save. You have to make a strength save to break out of the web, and then make another dex save to not get stuck in it again. It is really tricky to move through a web. Once you're stuck in the web, you are restrained, so you can't move, your speed is 0. Your attacks have disadvantage, and attacks against you have advantage. It's a really bad spot to be in. Not to mention that if you cast a fire spell on the web will burn, dealing 2d4 damage to all creatures that are stuck in it. So Web works in almost all situations, and it is a unique spell as both damage and battlefield control, targeting both the fast and the strong. The 2nd spell, number 2 spell, I recommend on this list is Heat Metal, very appropriate for a Tinkerer Artificer. Heat Metal, you target a metal object, and it becomes red hot for a minute. If a creature is touching the object, they take 2d8 fire damage and make a Constitution saving throw. If they fail, they automatically drop the object unless they're wearing it, at which point they have to try to take it off, but that will take time usually, especially if it's metal armor. You can literally cook someone alive with this spell, or disarm them if you target their weapons. Heat Metal is useful in most situations, because most creatures that have weapons will have metal weapons. It's pretty rare for someone to use a weapon that isn't made of metal, or to have armor that doesn't have a metal component to it. Simply having heat metal gives you a huge damage boost and lets you have a certain amount of battlefield control because you can make creatures get disarmed or panic them by cooking them in their armor. What could beat out such a powerful spell? Easy. The number one spell for the Artificer, and for most spellcasters in my opinion at second level, invisibility. Yes, Artificers can learn invisibility. For an hour of concentration, you are invisible. You can stealth easy, sneak into places, you can infiltrate, you can follow and trail people, you can navigate battlefields, you can do a lot with invisibility. And you don't even have to cast it on yourself. You can cast it on the heavy armor-wielding person so that they can stealth easier, or you can cast it on the rogues so that they have no problem sneaking into anywhere. Invisibility is just absolute a money spell. It works in any situation. There is no situation invisibility isn't useful. Even in combat, you can't attack or cast a spell while you're invisible, otherwise it ends before the hour is up. But even if you're setting up an ambush, being invisible while doing so is going to guarantee that first round of combat goes well. And yeah, I think invisibility is a must-take for anyone, no matter what your class is. If you can get it, you should. This has been the Relaxed Fantasy Review. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe down below, and keep your eyes peeled for more spellcasting reviews coming down the line soon. Have a good one, my friends.